This book is just crime and pining in one. Alright, hi. So today we're going to be reviewing Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. It's a duology that goes together, and yeah, we're going to be reviewing it. So, an introduction. This book, this duology, is set in Ketterdam, which is this city. Who would have thought it? And the vibe of this really gives you like 1920s kind of esque something. I think like what Leigh Bardugo, the author, had actually like officially said that it was supposed to be like 1860s, like Europe or something. But it correlated to me at least like 1920s, like, I don't know, the fashion, the style, whatever you want to call it. The plot of this book, I'm not going to go too in depth with the plot because it's going to be really painful for me to try and explain it. And really boring for someone to have to watch. So I'll try to get through this as fast as possible. Six of Crows. This is the first book in the duology, and it's about six people who are a band of outcasts who have to go on a heist. No, it's not a heist like a bank. It's a heist to get this prisoner who created this drug who can turn people into weapons. These people are called Grisha. This is all based in the Grishaverse. And Grisha are people who can control different things, like things with magic. So this drug can turn them into like almost like war weapons, almost like super dangerous, basically is the point here. So they're to go get this prisoner, bring him back, and then they get a bunch of money. That's why they're all doing it. This plot is super character oriented, super character based. Like the plot, don't get me wrong, this universe is super interesting, and I give a lot of props to Leigh Bardugo for coming up with it and making it just so interesting and in-depth. But the characters really carry the story, like they're all super young, so I think that she writes them like really well, and I think just seeing all the different relationships in the story really keeps it going. Speaking of relationships, we're gonna do the character introductions now. Okay, so these are the six people that are in this band of outcasts. There's Jasper, there's Nina, there's Matthias, there's there's Violin, there's Kaz. Did I say all of them? Hold on. Okay, Jasper, Nina, Matthias, Kaz, Inej, Violin. Yeah, those are the six people. I'll put art up as I go talking about each individual character, but here's some art of all of them. So first up, I'll talk about Jasper first. Okay, Jasper is definitely one of my favorite characters. He and Inej are my favorite characters. Jasper, there's four people in this band of this is group. If I say band of outcasts one more time, I think I'm gonna like lose my mind. There's four of them that are part of this gang called the Dregs. It's Kaz, Inej, Nina, and Jasper. Those are the people who are part of the Dregs. Matthias and Violin come along in the story, but they're not officially part of the Dregs. I do not think Violin is a part of the Dregs, at least not in the first book. So Jasper in this book, on the back of the book, the little synopsis, what you want to call it, it gives a super dramatic description of like here. A convict with thirst for revenge, sharpshooter who can't walk away from a rager, a runaway with a privileged past, a spy known as the Wraith, heart, it's super dramatic. In this little description, he's the sharpshooter in question. So if you could imagine, he shoots guns. Who would have thunk it? He is basically the comedic relief. That's that character in the book. He and Violin uphold a good dynamic. Just need to know that Violin and Jasper uphold a dynamic, and Jasper is a really funny character, and I feel like grounds them a lot, because in certain serious situations they're going a little bit everywhere, getting a little bit too serious with Mr. Cane Man. So then he kind of levels it out, kind of gets everyone to chill out. Next up, we'll do Violin, since we're speaking of Jasper. Violin is not officially part of the Dregs. He was under the protection. He's 1 year younger than the rest of them, which they're all 16 and 17. Maybe I think the oldest might be 18, like all under their 20s, super young. Violin comes along, and he's the one with the privileged past. As you'll find out, I don't want to say it because I think it has a lot to do with the later plot, but he comes in, and under the Dregs' protection, he cannot read or write, which proves to be why he ends up with them in the first place. But he's really useful in the sense of science and math, so he builds a bunch of bombs and things like that, different chemical reactions that are really useful. All right, next up we'll do Nina. I love Nina so much. So she is the Grisha in the group. She is one of the people who can control, she's got a heart render, I believe it's called. So she can control different pulses and things like that. She upholds, something you need to know is that her relationship with Matthias is super interesting. I'm not really gonna go into what it is. I personally don't like Matthias, so the less I have to say about him, the better. They have to go retrieve Matthias from a prison that he was in because of her. So yeah, but Nina is also kind of the comedic relief. She's funny, she's really pretty, and she's like I said, the Grisha, so she really helps out, and she is a part of the dregs, but she previously didn't really work with Kaz in close relation. Okay, next up we'll do Matthias. Okay, next we have Inej. Like I said, I really don't care for Matthias. He's just one of those characters that I just don't like. Like, if you've read Throne of Glass and you're familiar with it, I do not like Kale. He can choke. And before all the Dorian sympathizers come for me, I really want you to name one thing Kale's character did that wasn't based on his crush on Dorian. Exactly. If you want me to describe Matthias, you guys know Frozen. If you've ever seen Frozen, hopefully you've seen Frozen. You might live under a rock if you don't. But the dude in the mountains who had the sauna with his family, that's what Matthias reminds me of. However, he's like mean and judgmental. That dude, plus mean and judgmental, you have Matthias, ladies and gentlemen. Some people beg to differ on the terms of redemption for him and his character. And I'm like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I see where you could, feel sorrowful towards him and be like, he redeemed himself so true. No, he didn't. Anyways, we'll get more into that when I get to the spoiler part. But I just don't like him, point blank period. And he does, like I said, he holds a relationship with Nina, and their relationship is so complicated, but he's in this prison in the first book, and they have to break him out before they can even get on the heist. Okay, moving on from him. Inej! Oh my god. She is the one. Inej, okay. Inej is, like I said, one of my favorite characters. Just Inej. I have to have a moment of silence for Inej right now. She is the spy that's known as Ray. She's a part of the dregs, and she's the one who works closest with Kaz. They uphold a dynamic. Get more into that later. She's super light on her feet. She's the one who spies and gets information, knows everything about everyone. No one ever knows she's there unless she lets you know she's there. Whole thing, like that type of character. And she's amazing. I love her. I have nothing else really to say except for that. Last but not least, we have Kaz. So if you know anything about Six of Crows or Crooked Kingdom, and you've heard about this universe, you've probably heard Kaz. Probably heard the name Kaz. In every, book series, book, whatever, universe, there's that, dark, brooding character that every, person is, fawning over. And I mean, in real life, everyone's like, oh my god, that's Kaz in this book. In my personal opinion, he's okay. Would he be good looking? Probably. I don't like his haircut personally. But anyways, we're not gonna get into that.
When your legs don't work like they used to before.
Kaz is the mastermind behind the group here. He is in the dregs, but he's the criminal prodigy type of person, so he's really well renowned in the criminal world of Ketterdam. He holds a dynamic with Inej, and he doesn't trust anyone at all. Don't get me wrong, I understand some parts of his personality and why he acts the way he does, but sometimes he gets super metaphorical and it's so pointless. At one point, I think in the second book, or maybe it was the first, I don't really know, but he's like, my dad is crime and my mother is Ketterdam, or something like that, and I was like, get out. He'll constantly take note on Inej's beliefs and her saints and things like that, but then he'll sit there and say something like that. I'm like, I'll get more into something else he said in the second book when I get into the spoiler talk, but he's the one who recruits everyone to pull off this heist to steal this prisoner in the first place. And yeah, they basically all listen to him. He comes up with everything. And he's super intimidating in this world. He knows that stereotypical crime boss, not a boss yet until the second book, but I don't think that's really a spoiler. So, but yeah, that's Kaz. Those are the characters. That is a good synopsis of each character that I can think of without spoiling anything. So now we're gonna go into the spoiler part. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, or if you want to read it for yourself first, then here is your mark to leave. If you want to read this and you go to my school, then it's at the school library. Both the duology is there. So Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom is there. So if you want to read it and you don't want to spoil, go get it and read it. Okay, now the fun begins, where I get to speak free range about it. The first point I would like to hit is Violin and Jasper. So the second book is where you saw their dynamic really go. If you're not aware already, Jasper is bi. I think that was declared like bi. And I think Violin is bi as well. I could be wrong, but I really, really liked the representation that was given. I really adore their relationship, their interactions, and what they brought to the table for each other. Like, not only in their personal lives do they have like a good connection, but like in the group, the two of them really like fit well together. And let me just go into the whole Cricket Kingdom part here. Let's pull it up. I saw on like Goodreads, which if you don't know what Goodreads is, it's this app where like you do book reviews and things like that. It's really like well known if you read books, but anyways. On Goodreads, someone had written a review about Six of Crows, and no, it was about Cricket Kingdom, because in Cricket Kingdom, they kiss. I saw a review and it was like, I thought they were joking. As in like Jasper and Violin were joking about liking each other, and I was like, At the end of Six of Crows, let me just do a little recap so you understand what I'm talking about. And then Six of Crows, they have the prisoner's son because the prisoner was dead. So they have the son, his name is Kuwei. I'm pretty sure it's how you say his name. I looked up and that's what they said and how you pronounce his name, so Kuwei. To trick the merchant because the merchant wasn't going to give them the money. So as a safety precaution, they had Nina, because Nina had taken the drugs, so she had like amplified her powers and stuff. She altered Violin to look exactly like the prisoner, Kuwei, the prisoner's son, my bad. So Kuwei and Violin look the exact same right now. In this book, most of the book, until like the ending part, Violin still looks like Kuwei, so they look identical as if they're twins. So they pass them off as twins and things like that. Okay, now that I got that cleared up. Jasper had just got done talking to his dad. He was all like riled up, kind of nervous type of thing. And so he went to this hotel that they were staying in, this foyer type of thing, and he thought it was Violin because, like I said, they look exactly the same. He thought it was Violin, so he kissed Kuwei. And I was like, when Jasper was like, you know, if that isn't an invitation, then what isn't? So he like leaned in. I was like, I stopped reading and I was like, please Leigh Bardugo tell me that he's not gonna get them mixed up. Please tell me he's not gonna. And what did he do? What did I turn the page to see? So then Violin walks in, you know, exactly, they look the same. So Jasper's under the false pretense that he's kissing Violin, and that's Kuwei standing at the door. So Kuwei's like sitting there like shocked. It's Violin. Violin's standing there just shocked, like, oh my god. And so then Jasper's like, what, did the shoe not kiss before noon? Like trying to jab at who he thinks is Kuwei. And the person standing in the doorway, which is Violin, is like, I wouldn't know. And then Jasper's like, Kuwei and I have beef personally because he knew about it. He knew that like he has like a crush on Jasper. I don't know. It's like he was okay with like him kissing him under the false pretense because he was like, yeah, whatever. And I'm like, Kuwei, you're gonna catch these hands right now. Jasper had to go and talk to Violin and be like, I thought it was you. And then I was gonna say, there's no good way this is gonna go down, because then Violin's gonna be like, how could you not tell us apart? You know, like that whole thing. They cleared it up, don't worry. They actually did end up kissing each other, normally knowing it's each other, because Violin gets altered back to look like himself. So that's cleared up. But I just had to. Also, something that I don't see a lot of people talking about is it was very evident that Jasper had a crush on Kaz for a little bit. Just in the first book a lot, he would mention, before Violin was like introduced and before he got to know Violin well, he was like, Kaz never looks at me. Kaz never, like, it was, anyways. So that's my Jasper Violin spew that I had to just go over. And this is like a major spoiler, so if you really don't want to know this, then you really should click off the video right now. But Matthias dies basically in the second book. Basically dies. A lot of people are like remorseful over the fact that like if they ever disliked him, they're like, oh my god, I regret not liking him. No, man, that's still intact for me. It kind of makes me sound like a bad person, but I don't really see how he redeemed himself much. Something about him just still felt off. I could see Leigh Bardugo writing his character to be more regretful towards how he had his previous opinions, which is all fine and dandy. I'm all for giving people a second chance. But, I don't know. There was just... It's not that it felt forced for him to be regretful. I just felt like... I liked their relationship a little bit, only for Nina's sake. Because, only for Nina's sake. If it wasn't for Nina, I wouldn't have liked it. Love Nina though. Nina's great. Anyways. Onto Inej. I just now realized that they all were in a relationship, if you really think about it. That's kind of funny. Now that I think about that, they all had like, that's funny. Okay, anyways. Kaz has trauma from when he was younger. And so from that, he doesn't like skin-on-skin contact. So He doesn't get like close to anyone, but no one knows about that except for Inej. And he also has a brother. Kaz has a brother who died, and so that's what he bases a lot of his decisions off of, based on the events that led up to his brother's death. The only person who knows about his brother and what he didn't really know what happened fully until the end. She didn't even know what happened fully until like the end of the book, but she knows about him and his death, and she's the only one who knows because she's the only one. That's the trope in this book, is like I don't trust anyone but her type of trope. One thing that irritated me, not with the actual book, but with some of the reviews that people were saying, were like, I hate that they're never gonna kiss or they're never gonna have like that type of relationship. And I'm like, did you not just read like the entire book, or are we just ignoring everything? I think it's just kind of like a little bit blind to just ignore everything that both of them have gone through and then be like, oh, but they don't kiss. Like, come on, man. But I will say one thing about Kaz is I really admire how Leigh Bardugo wrote his trauma and kept it intact and didn't write it off, because I've seen previous authors immediately the minute they meet someone, they're like, forget about the trauma. Like, I'm glad that she kept it intact for once. It was refreshing to see. Also with Inej's past, she kept that intact too, because I feel like a lot of people ignore what Inej went through as well. At the end of the book, when they finally held hands, I was like, this is where, not Matthias dying, but this is where the tears come in. So that's kind of it overall. Honestly, there's not much. Like I said, this is really a character-driven story. So to be able to fully understand it, you just really have to read it, in all honesty, because it's harder. You can explain it a little bit, but it's a lot harder to fully understand what people mean when they're talking about it unless you read it. Like I said earlier, this book is available at the school library if you want to go and get it, so I really would recommend doing so. With that being said, that is the conclusion of this book review. Like I said, I really like this universe, and I think that it's a really good read, so go read it. So I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about a book, and hopefully read it if you haven't already. All right, bye.